Okay, this is rather important. In fact, it's very important. It's not meant to scare you, but just to make you aware, okay? So, disease X. Now, if you go in and you have to kind of be forceful with your questions, you will get the right answers, although they're not the answers you want to hear, and they are facts as far as facts can be, as far as what they've given us over the years since archaic times and books and what have you, and phonetic meanings and spellings, everything. Also keep in mind disease X, the X in phonetics would be EX. That's how you would spell X. EX, not just an X. So the word you see there, it should be in plain sight if I screenshot it correctly. Edeasis, or edeasis. There's different ways to pronounce it phonetically and throughout the years and archaic. The bottom line is it means multiple things. It has a cascading cobweb in the net deal here, okay? I'm going to screenshot some more of these and put them on the post here in a little bit. But for now, let's talk about this. It does relate to a disease, and it's a inflammation disease that basically rots the flesh. It's a disease that hinders the breathing. Okay, this is all about inflammation. Now, on the other hand, as you can read there, it's also about reptilians, bugs, crustaceans when they shed their skin, and you can see what they really are, kind of thing, alright? I'm not trying to write a sci-fi book here. It's already been written for us. Bottom line on this, it's about inflammation. 100% about inflammation. So far what I can see, to combat with what you look at on this as far as the archaic meaning, pronunciations for this specific thing. Pomegranate. Of all things, right? The palm. Granite. Don't take it for granted. Anti-inflammatory things. So, keep that in mind, and that's why I've been telling people I don't suggest ever using Motrin or these other things, or Tylenol, but in a specific case like this, which I'm sure they've already put here, by the way, because it went on to tell me that the best way to apply this to someone, if you were trying to be the bad guy, would be through ice and snow, or rain, or fog, or mist, right? And I would really like to be wrong. I've looked into this in particular for a few hours here and there for a while now. Okay. Bottom line here, it's inflammation. So things like ginger, turmeric, look into it for yourself, but it led to pomegranate holding a particular chemical within it, in the leaves and bark, that are anti-inflammatory big time. Now, if you're listening to me and you're on any other kind of medicine, it doesn't mean you can pick up a bottle of pomegranate juice and pound it down. These are blood thinners and would mess you up, okay? I'm telling you things you need to have on hand, not things you need to take in great quantities right now. But I'm quite sure that's what they've done. And if they haven't done it yet, I think they have, because around here, the inflammation thing of the weakness, the sudden aching and stuff, has been going on for months here in Indiana with people. And in other countries where I've been in contact with people. Is it that diabolical? Absolutely. And another note to take on this is that particular thing that they are releasing, not only is it a disease, X, it also causes a psychological effect to cause someone to leave their thoughts. Look into it, it'll tell you it's to leave one's body, just for the thoughts to be no longer in their body. There go your data centers, okay, harvesting the data. It's stated in here that it would cause people to basically obey in a sedative kind of way to whatever they were told. It's multitasking, of course it would be, right? Now you'll notice the X and the I in there, or the extra E. I told you that's the phonetics for the X, okay? And I'll do the numbers on it. I'm sure it adds up to you know who. It always does. So the X and the I, that's important, you know. It's one direction it's 11, the other direction it's a 9. Need I say more? I don't think so. I don't have the capabilities or the means to just make a video and show you. I only have a phone here and this is how I do this stuff, but please look into this and be aware that you need to have things on hand, because I'm quite sure that this is the outcome. It's too multitasking for what is biblically to be and what they're very capable of doing on the evil side of what they are. I mean, isn't it funny, you know, the shedding of their skins too. They will be known as their own kind of thing, and so will we. Now, something like this would be overlooked and people would be searching for all kinds of antibiotics and stuff. And it wouldn't be at that level. It would seem that it would be, I think. But it's an inflammatory thing. Grounding. Don't forget grounding. Inflammatory herbs, spices, and, you know, the pomegranate. I mean, how obvious is that? The palm. And granted, it's the palm where you're going to receive wisdom and healing out there, and it is definitely anti-inflammatory. But again, let me say this. I have no idea what any of you are taking, and you could be taking something that is not that big of a deal that can be a very big deal if you start taking anti-inflammatory herbs and spices and stuff. And some of those things you could only take minute, you know, fractional things of, like the bark or the leaves of something like on a pomegranate. There's a tea out there that I guess has been used for this for centuries. It's called wire weed. I don't have any, but I have looked, and I guess it's available. You have to be careful which types you get. I don't have that information right now, but it's easy enough to look up. If you have any comments or questions on this, please leave them. Iron does sharpen iron. And remember, this is about inflammation. It really is. And the psychological effects and the sores, and it's a flesh-eating kind of deal, okay? Sores, I mean, everything you can think of biblically, biologically, spiritually, that word you see there is on the table. It's literally on the table because they called it disease X, okay? And because people don't know that X would be an E and an X to spell X, okay? You know, that's why it's stupid if you see something like exit. How do you spell it? E-X-I-T, right? But in other words, with an X, there's no E before it. Or X is in the weird spot. I know that's a lot to handle and to think about, but it's not also. We have the Lord first and foremost. Don't get me wrong here. But even if you just want to have this stuff on hand for people that maybe you're not affected by this or won't be. But it's always wise to be prepared for the enemy's tactics, isn't it? Maybe you'll have people around you that you need to ground right away, or get them some tea in them, or ginger. And again, let me stress this. If you go out and buy a bunch of this stuff, do not start pounding it, because whatever medicines you are on, most people are on some kind of something right now. You do not want to thin your blood. These things are thinning agents. Okay? Do not do that. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm telling you what I see and what to have on hand. And probably, like I said on the Motrin, the Tylenol, I would never use it unless it's extreme cases. This would be an extreme case. And I'm not saying use Motrin right now. It'll eat your belly up. I'm not saying use Tylenol right now. I'm saying have it on hand, because I'm barely scratching the surface on this, okay? Remember that. All of these videos that I do, I am barely scratching the surface. I'm showing you one drop of water from the swimming pool, okay? So with that said, basically anything that you can think of is probably in the swimming pool. That's how evil and twisted this place is. And it also means, in some phonetic roots and archaic roots, to displace people outside of their bodies. It also means to make them stand firm outside of the place where they lived. Well, that lines right up with the Gulf of America, doesn't it? You know, the projection of that being flooded out, and him claiming to rename the Gulf of Mexico. Well, Mississippi, and the phonetic and archaic and all over the place, just a couple videos ago, definitely pointed towards that. This is going to have to be a grand finale effect. Keep that in mind. They can't pull these things off just one little thing at a time. They need to really knock us off our feet, okay? And as far as I'm concerned, the last 5 days of extreme radiation and EMF levels throughout the United States and other places, I'm telling you, it wasn't even readable, okay? It's very clear to what's going on, and the weather system was not normal. And with that said, someone from the channel here screenshot that weather event, and it's clearly a parasite. The length of basically the United States with the blood in it and everything. It's clearly a worm, a parasitic worm, the kind that would be in a body of whatever, an animal, a human, or something, okay? I will try to get that video up sometime today. And again, if you have comments or questions, please leave them, and think about your animals on this too. The animals in this area have been dealing with something for 3 months too, and it's inflammation. Make sure they get grounded too, and find out what kind of things they can have that are anti-inflammatory, okay? Herbal-wise or food, they will not necessarily, most likely not be able to handle the same stuff you can. Some things are very bad for animals that we can eat. Even what we eat in moderation, they may not be able to touch. Water. Water's a big one. Electrolyte's a big one. That's all inflammatory issues. If those are out of whack, you got problems. Now, don't drink too much. Electrolytes, that's a even bigger problem almost, okay? You can't just continually do that. All right, I'm going to stop there.